Okay, part two, penny wise and pound foolish. This is a true story. Okay. So, several years ago, I was representing a business owner. He was in his late 40s or maybe early 50s at the time. And he was in a business where he was kind of a lifer in a corporate and he worked up for decade after decade and kind of learned the ropes. He was in the insurance industry. And then he went out on his own as an entrepreneur and he did really well because he had identified some niches and some specific economic opportunities within his industry. And so, anyway, first couple years, he just blows it out of the water. He's doing multi millions. He's on year like maybe five, and he had been growing and growing and growing, doing tens of millions of dollars in revenue. Had a private equity person come in, basically said, we want to buy the business. And let's say they valued it around $30 million. Well, one of the things was this guy did not have his house in order. He had an early, a person who was a quasi partner, not really sure, and was on some of the paperwork and not others. And he didn't file his tax stuff right, just totally blew through sort of any kind of red or yellow lights when he was starting up. And now he's got this huge business that's churning off all this cash and he wants to sell it and his paperwork's a mess. And I told him all this, but the buyer still wanted to go forward. And so we went through it. We get through due diligence. And basically the buyer looks at all of these risks and said, we want a $10 million escrow. $10 million escrow on a $30 million valuation deal is crazy, right? But I look at it and I can't disagree with them. I'm like, look, no other buyer is going to give you any other kind of deal. This is the risk. And he said, okay, I'll do it. So he takes the 20 million, he sells the company, they put 10 million in escrow, and sure enough, all that 10 million gets used up. So the guy literally lost $10 million. So I'm having our law, basically had to pay out $10 million due to this sloppiness. So I'm having lunch with a colleague of mine one day and I tell him this story and he said, how much would it have cost if the guy had done it properly up front? And I'm like, maybe 10 grand, 15 grand. It wasn't a complicated setup. He just needed to do it properly. Okay. Penny wise and pound foolish. I always say it was a very extreme example. I said spending $10,000 could have saved him $10 million in valuation that he would have gotten for his company when it was sold. And so that's what this part two is about. And next we'll talk about kind of maybe what he should have done right when he set up the company.